Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of Return to the Inner Child podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Lucy Ivanecki. Welcome to the family and community. I'm blessed to be on this journey with all of you. Today on the podcast, we have an amazing guest, Sharif. Aaron is an elite dating coach for high-value women and works for a matchmaking company where he helps elite men find their dream women. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Let's get right into it. What would you say is your biggest green flag as a person?
My God, what a question. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I don't know if I would call myself an amazing guest. I would call myself a guest, but nonetheless, happy to be here. I think the biggest green flag I look for in a person is probably kindness. I think it's a free trait, but it's not so easy to be kind when you first start out if you're not a kind person, but I think over time and over practice you realize it's like such an essential quality. And if somebody is not kind, then I don't want them in my life. At least I don't want to build a relationship with them. So that's probably the biggest thing I look for. What about you?
Nice. I like that. The biggest green flag, I would say, authenticity.
Mm.
Authenticity. I really appreciate when people show who they are and their true selves, which is a very difficult thing as well. And even that's a quality that when it comes out in me, like that's something I highly respect in myself as well. So I like to see that in others as well.
Can I switch my
Yeah.
answer? I think I want to go with that. I think now that I'm thinking about it, it is authenticity, which at times it could be, for some people they're just like mean in the moment, and that's fine because
Yeah.
if they're being authentic about their emotions. But yeah, I think you're right. I think authenticity it scores the highest on the consciousness scale, even higher
Yes.
than love. So I'll go with that too.
Yeah, I love authentic people. And like you said, right? Even if you're being mean, but that's your authentic self in that moment, that still comes across as very genuine, very true, and that's attractive as well, right? So I like that quality, and I like seeing that come out in people.
You mentioned that it's difficult for people to be authentic. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think it takes courage to be your true self because it's easy when you're showing more of these positive qualities in you, right? But like you said, when you have something kind of brash or mean to say, that part can be hard to show because you feel a little bit uh like how people are going to take that, like are people still going to accept you or will they like me, right? We don't need to worry about being liked. We need to instead remember to be, yeah, true to ourselves and true in the moment. So I think that's why it's difficult. It's difficult to express those negative emotions.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know about you, but I kind of grew up as a people pleaser. I think our parents teach us that like we have to be a certain way to feel love. I don't think they do it consciously, but by them saying like you have to do your homework, otherwise you're this, or look at your cousin who's getting A's on this, but you're so bad at this, and you kind of feel like I have to act a certain way for people to make me feel like I'm worthy, and you have to like relearn that that doesn't matter really, as long as you're doing your best and you just kind of live your life as you think is the best way
Yeah,
to do it, then the people that don't like you won't like you anyways. You don't want them to like you for being fake. And the people that do
exactly.
like you really like you because like they can see your true self. And I think it's a great filter, like a natural filter.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Let's jump into the topic of happiness. So, what does happiness mean to you?
Interesting. So, backstory, at one point in my life, I thought happiness was like the goal of life when I was maybe in my early 20s. And because it was the goal of life, I thought I should explore this topic. So I read a bunch of books on it. I practiced happiness because I see it as an emotion, but I also see it as a skill.
Yeah.
And happiness for me means joy. It's synonymous with feeling joyful and smiling and like good vibes. But I don't anymore think that it's the purpose of life. I don't think it's the goal of life. I think it is an emotion. It's an experience that you can feel that goes along with all the other emotions that you feel. And I think if we just felt happiness all the time, then we wouldn't cherish it. And if we sometimes feel maybe sadness, maybe despair, maybe a lack of hope, then that could make happiness feel so much better. So now my definition of success or the goal of life is inner peace.
Hmm.
And then if you extrapolate it out to all the population of humanity, if everybody felt inner peace, there would be no war. There would be no big issues, right?
Yeah, I like that. And I agree with you. We can't just be happy all the time. We have to experience the other emotions. And that definitely gives us more clarity, that and appreciation for those positive times, but then also gives you appreciation even for those times that you're suffering, right? Because you learn something in those moments as well. So even that adds to our happiness. But you mentioned happiness as a skill. I haven't heard of that one. So what do you mean by that?
I'm super excited to talk about this. I think most of our problems are a skill issue. And if you look at happiness as a skill, then you start to dissect, okay, if that's a skill and maybe I'm not so good at it, then how do I improve at it? And if we look at the components of this skill of overall happiness, one of the skills is being able to recognize it. So when you recognize happiness or reflect on it, I'm just going to write this down so I can remember it. That is a skill within itself called a gratitude practice. Now you have a gratitude practice, you have the skill of recognizing and remembering and reflecting on the moments that were happy for you. So another skill there is imagination. You might say, Aaron, I've never experienced any happy moments in my whole life. Okay, I feel sorry for you, but you do have imagination. God has given you the ability to think about anything ever. So you can imagine a scenario in which you are living in a moment that is happy for you. And if you can spend time there imagining, visualizing, which is another skill, then you can do that as well. It is time allocation. If you think about the moments in your life where you're the most happy, like give me an example over the past week where you felt happy.
Oh, I mean, preparing Easter food this weekend. Yeah, we have a traditional Easter food that we make. So
Nice.
yeah, so cooking
And
with my mom.
okay, so right there, yes, you were doing it because of Easter, but you were cooking with your mom. That was the moment that was happy for you. So now that you know cooking with your mom makes you happy, what you would do is you would strategically put moments in your life, in your months, in your weeks that you would be cooking with your mom once a week. So now you're almost guaranteed happiness once a week, and an accumulation of happy moments creates a happy life. And so you see how many different skills there are there to be able to
Mm,
recognize it, but also implant it into your life. And then when, even in the moment where you're doing something that makes you happy, it's like being mindful of it and being present in the moment so you can actually experience it um, more time. So I think that's why I believe happiness is a skill that you practice.
yeah, I think you're right about that too. Like the way you explained it, it definitely is something that you need to be consciously practicing and like you said, giving thanks each day and each moment too, and being present. It requires presence as well.
And to say one
Like,
more thing about gratitude, it's like you are maximizing your moments of happiness. So, a regular person would experience one moment and they say, oh, that made me happy. And they would forget about it for the rest of their lives. But a person that practices happiness and sees it as a priority, they would have the moment, be mindful of that moment while they're in it. So they would consciously be like, wow, this is nice. Like I'm remembering this. And then afterwards, when they're in their journal or they're reflecting on it, they are revisiting that moment one more time, and then you revisit it, you write it down. And so the next time you open up this journal, you see it for the third time. And multiple times afterwards, you're revisiting a happy moment time and time again. And you're rewiring your brain to be like, let's look for more of these. And so that for me is, I think that there are so many skills there, but that also creates neuroplasticity, which is like your brain literally shifting to work for you. And so you're consciously doing that.
Yeah, and then it happens on the subconscious level too, I think, because you've done it so many times that it's second nature, and you've built in that habit at the subconscious level that you're just doing this automatically.
Exactly. And that's just who you are now. And now
Yeah.
you might call yourself a happy person because that's all you focus on. And now other people will be like, oh, Elizabeth's a happy person. And then it's just this cycle that never finishes.
Yes.
Cheat code.
Yep. That's right. Let's get into the topic of how you got into becoming a dating coach, like what that journey was like.
Accidentally. Completely by accident. I still sometimes I'm like, oh, I guess that's what I do. It's funny, like, you present yourself a certain way, but obviously we are all more than our titles, right? Like, you're not just a podcaster. You are a person that has many skills and many hobbies and many interests, but you just happen to be doing this. And I think I see
Mm-hmm.
myself like that too. The biggest problem I want to solve in the world is a lack of connection. And so right now, that's how I happen to be doing it, by connecting men and women together. And so how I got into it was I was coaching men for a couple of years on health and fitness and mindset. And then I started making like TikTok videos about that and Instagram videos about that. And then one day I randomly made a video about the job that I was working and still am working at this time, pretty much talking about what successful men look for in a partner. And I was like, you know what? This might get a couple of views. It might help one person. And then so I made the video and it got a decent amount of views. And so I'm like, maybe I'll make another one like this. And that got more views, and then it just kept growing. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm helping more people connect,
Mm,
because one of the reasons I was helping people with fitness is because it increases self-confidence. It makes you feel better. It
yeah.
gives you the ability to connect with yourself, your body, and other people. And if I feel like I can do that same thing, but help more people, even if it's a different gender of people, I'm going to do it. And so that's how I ended up here like a year and a half later, and I'm still making content about it, and it's growing, and it's really awesome. It's really great.
Yeah. No, and I love your content. I find that it's very real, authentic, very raw as well at times. But I like but I like that though.
Thank
There's
you.
honesty in it, and that's what drew me in initially was how honest you were. And I think that's yeah, and that's something I continue to see in your content. So I appreciate that. I think that it is helping a lot of people, and I think it's helping men and women. But yeah, let's go back to the idea of connection. Why is that something that is important for you to focus on?
It's a good question. Thank you, first of all. Just being real. It's nice when somebody like acknowledges you and compliments you on just being yourself, which is like the greatest thing ever. It just like re-solidifies the idea that like, oh, like I can be me and it's good. People like that. And you too. Like, you're such a good vibe. You're always smiling. You're always in a happy mood, which makes conversation easy. And honestly, like, you'd be great to do this like full time. Like, so I'm really happy that you're doing this.
Thank you.
So for me, I think one of my favorite ideas is like, have you ever heard the term "your mess is your message"?
Yeah, I heard of that one. Yeah.
So I would say my mess when I was younger was the inability to be able to connect with people on a very deep level. Because I think there are
Mm,
different levels of connection, where one level is surface level. Hey, what's going on? Where are you from? Nice. Well, nice to meet you. Right? Surface. And then it goes, oh, like, I find you have an accent. Like, what kind of background is that? Estonian? Oh, no way. My dad's Estonian. Oh, you speak the language? Yeah, that's a different layer. Next layer is like trauma dumping, going back and forth and saying, yeah, like both my parents were addicts too. Tell me about your experience. And there's just deeper and deeper levels. And I think if people can learn that connection, again, is a skill that you
yeah.
practice, then you can have the ability to connect with anybody, no matter what language they speak, no matter what they look like, no matter age. Like, I connect with babies. sometimes I feel just as much as I connect with adults, because language is just a medium of connection, but so is eye contact, so is touch, so is feeling and emotion. And I think if people can feel more connected with each other, dating would get better.
Yeah.
Health and fitness would get better. The more I connect with my clients, I still have clients right now that are like entrepreneurs. When I connect with them, when I understand where they're coming from, and then I can relate something in their eyes, in their terms, in their language, then they're more likely to actually achieve those goals. And so I think everything boils down to connection. And with AI going the direction it's headed, I think it's even more prominent and important that we don't lose the sense of connection.
Yeah. That's very true. Like that's what makes us human. I agree with you there. What would you say is in our age of technology, what would you say is a challenge right now facing men and women um, connecting with each other?
Oh, that's a great question. We're going to explore this a bit. I think social media plays a strong positive role, but also a negative role because it warps nuance, norms, and it changes a lot of things. And sure, I create content. My goal is to help people with my content, but it might divide too. I don't have control over what it does, but
Yeah.
I think there is a disconnect between what men think that women want from them and what women think that men want from them. Before I started really connecting with women in this sort of sense and having more conversations with them and working with them and coaching them, I just assumed that all women were just into a guy's looks, height, amount of money they make. But in fact, now after doing hundreds of interviews and having loads of conversations, I know it's not that. I know maybe society tells men that that's what they want. Maybe a lot of women believe that's what they want, but what do they truly want? If I were to ask you, like, what is the feeling or what is it really that you were looking for in a man? What would you say?
The feeling of safety, security. But that's not just the physical safety, it's the emotional safety as well, spiritual safety. Can he handle the depth of who I am as a soul, right?
Right there.
Uh,
That, like, I think if more men understood that, there would be so much more connection. And I think I'm in a very privileged position where, unfortunately, a lot of men are not going to listen to women about what they're looking for. They just think, oh, she doesn't know what she wants. No, she does know what she wants. Sometimes she's had a hard time articulating it. And so I'm kind of like a messenger in between the genders and being like, guys, like, trust me, like, just do this and see what happens. And every time I work with some men or just like tell my friends about, try this or behave in this way, it's always great. They always feel good. They always feel like they're getting a lot more out of that interaction and they feel more of a connection. Because look, if girls just wanted a guy that was 6'2", that made a bunch of money, that has a nice place, has a nice car, then those guys would not need matchmaking services. But there's a reason where I'm on calls every day speaking to guys just like the one I described who are willing to pay dozens of thousands of dollars for the possibility to connect with a woman like this. And just because they go on a date with them doesn't mean they're going to have a connection, because they're going in with the idea of like, I got money, I got the looks, so you clearly want me. It's not that simple.
yeah.
So that's what I feel like there's a disconnect. And I think for women, I think the disconnect is they maybe a lot of them assume that because they're successful in their career that they deserve to be successful, and they'll say stuff like, well, I'm a catch. He's lucky to have me. Well, sure, but with a sense of entitlement like that, it's very hard for someone to really cherish you. And if
Yeah.
you walk around with this like idea that, yeah, you're not good enough because you don't make this much money to the decimal point, or I don't feel safe around you, you haven't even given him the ability to make you feel safe because you're acting like more of a man than he is right now. And he doesn't want
Yeah.
to compete with you. He's like, dude, this is not fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Right. I've noticed that as well in society, like this phenomenon that you're touching on, that the women are becoming more masculine, or like they're in their masculine energy, and the men are in their feminine, or they're weak men. And it's something that, yeah, it's bothered me obviously in the dating aspect, but also bothered me in general. How do we fix this issue? Because, it does affect society building and how we move forward as well, because then we are having trouble connecting. And we are also seeing a lot of men have like fallen into addictions, right? Like porn, gambling, um, there's any kind of drugs, alcohol, right? And women can fall into those too, but at least that's what I think I feel is more of a masculine issue, those ones. So it's like, how do we fix this issue in society, and how do we help the men find their purpose, but also the women help them to relax and come back to their feminine energy, because we are competing with each other, right? Like you said.
That's not right. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. When there's competition, there's no sense of polarity, and that's what attraction
Yes.
really is. And so, like, I always like to think in extremes because it's simple to visualize. Beauty and the Beast, simple example of polarity. It's like the guy's ugly, but he's a beast. He's a very masculine figure. He gets what he wants. He whatever. And then, the lady, she's a damsel. She's a princess. She's a beauty. Like, she's soft. She's innocent. She has the ability to receive the energy that he's giving, that he's penetrating.
Yeah.
And although he looks scary, he actually is someone that wants your security and safety. And I think that's a better relationship than I see a lot of relationships now, especially in the West, right? Canada, America, where couples are more like roommates. There's no spark,
Yes.
there's no attraction, there's no like her looking at him as if she wants to be ravished by him. And there's no him looking at her like, I want to cherish her and treat her like my princess that I not own, but like I have possession over. And I use that in a light term. I'm not saying a guy should possess his woman, but he should make her feel like she is his, because that's a
Yeah.
good feeling. And so I think if men learn to turn on that side, that masculine edge that every man has, but just doesn't know necessarily how to turn on, because society tells us we shouldn't turn it on. It shames
Yeah.
us for manspreading, for mansplaining, for all these things that make us kind of go back into like the corner and be afraid. Where I think if you push women to always think you don't need them, like that's not like you can just do it all yourself. It's like you're actually hurting them more than you think you are by saying that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think this is a big topic, and I think as long as you can be the change you want to see in the world. I'm not saying every guy should be masculine. I'm not saying every woman should be feminine. I'm saying you have both sides in you. You should
Yeah.
experience both of them and find a natural rhythm and a natural space where you feel comfortable just being aligned with who you are in that moment. And that could be more feminine in the moment, and it could be more masculine. But try to be very aware of where those energies take you and the feedback you receive from the world when you're in each of those energies.
I like what you said too about empowering the men to pursue and be in their masculine. I think I agree with you about like the roommates. I noticed that too, and I wonder what that is as well. We can also say women are guilty of this too. But yeah, there seems to be the couples are kind of just living out as roommates, or they're not adding that romance, but
Mm.
also the idea of courtship is really kind of like a lost art at this point, right? It feels like men are scared to show their interest as well, and then that doesn't encourage women to want to show interest either. So we're all kind of hiding a little bit and like waiting to show our feelings. So it's a really strange dynamic in that sense. What advice would you give to men to encourage them to embrace that masculine pursuit in them?
There's so many different routes I can go with this, but I just think like for me, thousands of years of my ancestors tried to their best to survive and to make it to this moment. And I'm gonna sit here and be afraid to tell a girl that I like her. My great 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 grandfather probably had to kill people with his bare hands just for the chance that him and his wife, my great 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 grandmother, could have a baby, and then his son had to do the same. And the daughter had to raise the kid in a certain way. Like there's so much that had to have happened for us to be sitting here right now using technology to have a conversation from
Yeah.
however much distance away. And I think if we look at it in that perspective, we realize that the problems that we think we have are insignificant, and that really what the goal is as a human species is to continue procreation and continue procreation in a good way, not just because you're forced to do it, but because you feel good feelings with the person and you like them so much that you're willing to sacrifice the next couple of years of your life to raise a child with the hopes that they can do the same thing. So that was context, but practically, I think if you're a man, you got to connect with who you are. You got to find a balance between your masculine and your feminine side.
Mm,
Stop being so critical of yourself. Look as best as you can so that more women will look at you. And then
yeah.
once you have the ability to have conversations with them, listen more, love more, be curious. If your body tells you, oh, she's pretty, or I like the way she looks, go up and say something. You don't have to say, I want to take you out. Just go and be in her presence because that's exposing you to the feeling that you want to be around. And I think when a man and a woman spend time around each other, especially if they like each other, certain things happen chemically within us that can sort of shift our vibrational state and make us want to do more of that, make us want to spend more time. And I think as long as you have a goal to just be better as a man, for women too, yes, but like I think we should strive to be the most capable men possible because masculinity at the end of the day is like making sure that everybody's okay. And so you cannot make sure everybody's okay unless you're okay and you have abundance of that feeling of we're good so that you can give it to other people now. And women find that really attractive. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Women love when a man is resourceful and is confident and speaks his truth. And so these are all like individual skills that you will learn over time, but you just got to put yourself in the fire. You got to be a little bit afraid every day. If you're not a little bit afraid every day of what you're doing, then you're playing life on easy mode, and that's not good.
That's true.
But I think for women, I I wouldn't say the same thing. I don't
Yeah.
think that a woman has to every day feel uncomfortable. And I think there's a beauty about the feminine. It's more of like a cherished sort of energy where if you're very stressed and you're in this like go, 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 I got to get a better job, I got to get a promotion. Now she's playing with her masculine side, and that can wear her down to the point where now she's jaded and she doesn't have the energy to go on dates.
Yeah.
And when a guy feels that energy after he's felt that for his whole life, he's like, more of that? No thanks.
Yeah, there's fatigue on both sides too, right? I think, like you said, there's fatigue on the feminine side because, now we're also in the workforce, so we have to be masculine there, to prove our worth and earn our way, and for some women to earn their way to their promotions, right? And they work very hard for that. So, yeah, they're feeling masculine there. There's burnout in dating. Women are killing it right now in society with their careers, living on their own. I think we're probably a lot more independent than any of the previous generations of women, for sure. But then at the same time, there's this issue in dating that wasn't really an issue before. It's because women had to step up more, but then we are more masculine, we are more independent, and those qualities don't entice the masculine polarity. A man doesn't want more masculine, they want the feminine.
You want that are the men that the women don't want. There's feminine men. And
Yeah.
so they get stuck in a relationship where they're like, "Ugh, like, why does my guy not want to do anything? Why do I always have to plan everything? Why do I always have to blah, 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 blah? Well, it's because of the way the energy you're putting out into the world is attracting exactly the person that you don't want.
Yeah.
And I've seen this many times, and I've even had a conversation with a friend yesterday who, yeah, her friend is a really successful woman, makes good money, has her own place, you name it, she's got it. And so clearly, some of the qualities that it took for her to get there were some of the qualities we're talking about, this masculine sort of
Yeah.
pursuit of the world. And so the guy that she was with and her past boyfriends have all been this sort of, feminine type, less plans, less ambition, but she tends to attract that. And maybe she finds peace in that because she's finally someone that can just relax and take it easy. So if you can give yourself those feelings of relaxation and calmness and femininity, which is a practice, then you will start to attract the kind of guy that makes you feel that more. I think it's a lot easier than people think. It's just a reframe, it's a different belief, and it's just the consciousness that if I do put this time and effort into it, and I have some shifts in my beliefs, that will happen. I think if women understood that that's all it would take, a lot of them would be a lot happier. So yeah, I guess how do you feel in your own journey of connecting with that side of yours? And you've been in my community always attracting for a while. I've seen a lot of your progress that you've made, but I want to hear from you. Do you feel any different? Has anything shifted for you? I'd love to kind of hear your experience on that.
Mm. Like how I am in my feminine more?
Are you more
Um,
comfortable in that? Like, have you seen a difference?
yeah, I am feeling more safe to receive even what you had said about finances and taking a feminine approach to that of being safe to receive money and receive income, right? That is something that has been on my mind lately as well. On just being in the feminine receptive energy. I feel that I am more aware of being more feminine, right? Like you said. Yeah, I take some time to do the visualizations. I actually did start meditating too,
Nice.
on my own. Yeah, so that was a big one. But I feel more connected with my body, which is important, and more connected with my intuition. Also, yeah, I mean, I love the community that you built too, because connecting with other like-minded women, connecting with you, I feel it really helps to build accountability and to continue working towards your goals with knowing that you're backed by other women who are doing similar things. So, yeah, that support is really important, I think. The female support, having that environment to like facilitate that growth.
I see it from you a lot. I remember the first conversation we've had, and I feel like your energy is much more powerful. I feel your light is shining stronger. You're pushing yourself to do things that maybe you felt uncomfortable in the past to do because you
Yeah.
know your community is going to support it, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have people like that around us that want to see us win, it's like it's hard to make all those decisions by yourself. But like, I'm really proud of all your growth, and we're just getting
Thank
started,
you.
right? Like this
Yes.
podcast is just getting started, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Me too. I know. I feel that I have been pushing myself outside of my comfort zone a lot this year. I think that again, that has a lot to do with your community as well, because we're encouraging each other to push ourselves out. Growth is kind of on the other side of being uncomfortable and being afraid. And I've been afraid many times this year, but but I'm still acting anyway, and that's a big growth for me. I need to feel again like that fear to change. I'm challenging myself. You're happier too. You're proud of yourself, so you feel better as a
Absolutely.
person.
Actually, like being a guy, like if I tell people or myself that I'm gonna do something and I don't do it, it's not a good feeling. You feel less of a man. And when you feel
Yeah,
less of a man, then you feel less inclined to do the things like approach a woman, for example. And that's why typically the guys that do, I guess, connect with the most women and have the most abundance of options are the guys that have consistently challenged themselves to the point where
yeah,
they're already attacking life on so many fronts where seeing a pretty woman is like it's also intimidating, but because they just see themselves as a person that does it anyways, they'll do the approach. And the funny thing about hormones is because I'm really into psychology as well, is like that behavior is testosterone driven behavior. And when a man goes and he does something that he's afraid of, like he's afraid of, but he's gonna do it anyways. That's repeating this like cycle of like testosterone production. So for example, let's say I'm a guy that feels as if I'm a man, like a manly man, and then I go and I see a woman and like I'm a little bit afraid and my heart's beating and I'm like, I don't know, like should I say something to her, should I not? And if I go and do it, I'm proving to myself that I am that person, and my
yeah,
body now reacts to increase those levels of testosterone because it thinks, oh, you need this because now you're with a beautiful woman. And so it keeps repeating the cycle. So the beginning
Yeah.
is the toughest part. Same with, making the first step, like committing to join something like my community, for example. But now you're like, okay, I was afraid of doing that. I did it. It feels good. I have an idea to do a podcast. I'm a little bit afraid of doing that, but I'm going to do it. And then it's just this consistent evolving of who you are as a person. And it's a beautiful thing to see because once you start it, like it's almost impossible to stop.
That's right. I want to ask you as well about masculinity. What does it mean for you to be a man? And what does masculinity mean to you?
For me, I think being a man is being reliable, it's being responsible, like all these values that we talk about, integrity, consistency. I think, how can I make somebody feel so much trust in me that they can share problems? They can come to me with questions. For me, somebody asks me a question, it just feels so good because it feels like, wow, you actually care about my opinion. And I don't care for someone to make me feel appreciated. That's not why I do anything. I want people to feel good around me, feel safe around me, feel comfortable, feel like they can ask me for help. And I want to be that person that gives. The goal ultimately is just make a safer, more happy, connected world. And I think
Yeah.
that's how I see masculinity. And in the sense of the different relationships in life, I think a masculine man should take care of his family, especially people that aren't doing so good. I think he should build strong relationships. I think he should be the first one to initiate those relationships. I don't think he needs to wait for somebody else to start it. He does it. He does the hard work, and he takes credit last. He I see it as the guy that like invites everyone for a barbecue at his house, pays for all the food, cooks all the food, and then eats last if there's any food left. That's how I see masculinity in an analogy. How do you see masculinity?
I like the way that you explained it. I remember I was listening for this pastor, and he said something very well that I was thinking about while you were talking. And he said that men's love is sacrificial service. And I feel that, yeah, what you described, men are in service to others. And I think that when they are in their like healthy masculine energy, that's how it manifests. It's this man who is helping others, he's helping his family, he's helping his partner, he's helping his friends, his community. He's helping himself. Yeah, that's something that my dad had always told us growing up. Like, you can't help others unless you're on solid ground yourself.
Mm,
Right? So he has to be on solid ground himself. So he has to be very grounded. And he has like this positive, like abundant energy to him. He's able to like pour into others. But I think you can say the same thing about like a healthy feminine woman too, right? Like
mm.
she's able to pour into others. It's a overflow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you put it great with that whole sacrificial service. That's what I try to say in like 3 or 4 paragraphs, and I think that's really an eloquent way of saying it. Is just no matter where you're at, you're sacrificing yourself to be of service to other people, not because you feel like you have to, but because it feels like that is what you're supposed to do. I guess yeah, you do feel like you have to, but it feels good too when a man takes out a woman, makes her feel good, makes her feel safe, right? The abundance of resources is not just money. Because a man could take out a woman, spend a bunch of money on her, and she could still feel alienated from him. She can still feel
Yeah.
unsafe. She could just feel like she's just being like treated like a puppy or something, where you just buy puppy treats and stuff. But she wants to feel the abundance of resources is also emotional,
Yeah.
given love to her, given feeling of safety and protection, and she wants to feel she is spiritually connected but also challenged. And all of these things are very important in a solid relationship that I think nowadays it's more rare. I think it happens a lot still, but people don't understand that if a man really taps into that energy of his and he gives what he can, it couldn't, maybe it's not always money. Maybe he's not rich yet, but if he can give the emotional feeling of safety and protection, and if a woman could maybe she doesn't quite feel like she is at her peak feminine state, which I don't know, for different people, it's different definitions. It could be for some like she's a mother or something at this point. But if she can make him feel like, yeah, he's worth it, and she can receive his energy and appreciate it and not always like nitpick every little thing. I think that's a really solid grounded relationship. Um, yeah, so that's good. That's a great definition that you gave.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you as well. I appreciate what you said about masculinity. Yeah, so let's move on to the inner child and a topic of childhood. So what were you like as a child? Like, how would you describe yourself as a child? And what made you happy as a child?
Oh wow, what a nice question. And I hope you can answer this one too after.
Yeah.
This is really fun. Mm, I was a very adventurous kid. I I'll give you a story and maybe it'll describe who I was. I remember when I was like in grade 2 or maybe 3. I don't even know how old you are at that time, probably like 7 or 8 or something. I went out one day in recess and I caught a butterfly with my hands and I felt so accomplished. And so I started showing people, and the people that cared the most were the girls in the class.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is sick. Like the girls like this, you know? And I didn't want to date them or anything. I was just like, this is cool. And so the next day, I went to the Dollarama with my mom or some dollar store, and I bought a butterfly net. And I'm like,
Oh
watch this. And I caught like 10 butterflies that day.
my gosh.
And I was the king. I felt so good. I felt like I'm the man, can't be beat. And then I just had all these girls around me, just my friends. And I felt, whoa, this is cool. I always felt connected to nature. I always was that kid that would jump in cold water or just want to get dirty. And I always like that. And I've always been like that. And I guess from that period when I was younger, when I maybe did have the ability to connect naturally with others, there was a long period of like, you go into your high school years and you get so disconnected to like technology and playing video games. And then I kind of lost that. And I think now
Mhm.
I definitely am way more of a kid than I was maybe in my teens or my early 20s. And I feel I'm getting younger every day.
I feel that too. I feel I'm 5 years younger. My body says otherwise sometimes, but
So yeah, I'd love to hear like who were you as a kid and what made you happy as a kid?
mm. So I was really quiet. I was always hiding behind my parents' legs and stuff. I was very quiet, very shy. But I loved animals. Like something that I did growing up. This was when I was like 5. My parents bought me a bunch of little toy animals, and I put them along the edges of the table, and I just moved them one by one. And I love playing like that. I was a little bit unorthodox.
That's so cute.
But yeah, I always loved animals, and I always loved stories too. So my
Mm.
dad would tell like the best stories at nighttime. And I remember that's why I wanted to be a writer
Mm.
actually, because he inspired me. Like he was such a good storyteller, and he still is. He tells the best stories. So yeah, I definitely got that from him. The love of story and the love of talking with people too. I would say definitely on my dad's side of the family were big talkers. My dad loves talking. My paternal grandmother as well. She loved talking. I mean, it's a wonder that happened because how I started, like I was very shy, but yeah, it somehow grew out of that.
And what made you want to talk about the inner child on this podcast? Like what sparked that?
Oh, the inner child. Well, I feel it's definitely a long-held belief of mine that the happiness that like we experience as children, like I believe that we are seeking that in adulthood. We're seeking like that sense of wonder and innocence that we knew as children in our adult lives. I know like that was true for me because as a child, right, like I love stories and I knew I wanted to be a writer, and then I did that in my adult life, right? And even this podcast is continuing that story, continuing the dialogue, right? So I feel that doing what I enjoyed as a child. And yeah, as a child as well, like you, I loved nature. So and I still love nature today. I feel that we are seeking what made us happy as children in adult life.
Interesting. I like that a lot. I think if more people connected with that inner child of them, then they would also be a lot happier and they would feel more aligned. And I think that child is always there, right? Like you're still the same person that had all those experiences. You just have more wisdom now. And I think it's a way better outlook to like continuously be a student and never have this like feeling that, oh, I know it all. Like I never want to be interpreted that way when I even make content. Like sometimes I might sound like a know-it-all, but sometimes you have to speak in a certain way where people take you seriously. But if people like just knew who I was, like I'm not pretending to be an expert in anything. I just have a certain amount of wisdom that I've seen play out, and all I say is like just try it out. And if it doesn't work, well, look, I'm not saying that this is the answer. I'm not God, but I do know that if you're a dude and you're just flat and emotionless and you don't know how to connect with a woman on her emotional side, she's not going to really feel that connected to you. And if you're a woman and you don't know how to feel that side too and let him know that you can receive all that he has and
Yeah.
be naturally nurturing and stuff like this, then he's not going to feel like a real man. And I think this is a cool topic. And I definitely do want to explore more of my childhood. It made me realize that like I don't sit down enough and think about who I was at that
Mm.
time. I should definitely do that.
Mm. Well, I have another question for you. How did you respond to life as a child? Because I think even understanding that, right? I believe that like the essence of who we are is formed at that time. I remember one of my teachers, she said that a child knows everything they need to know by the age of 5 to 7. Like, and what she meant by that, like they know how they're gonna respond. So how you respond to life now is rooted in like that in the way that you responded in childhood.
How did I respond? Honestly, I don't know if I can give you a great answer to that. Like, I definitely have to explore this.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would just be like making things up. I think I have to speak to my parents and sit down with this for a
Yeah.
while. What about you?
Well, for me, I'll give you an example. So I was very sensitive. I'm still sensitive, and they'll in a different way. But so when someone made me upset, I would cry and go to the bathroom to cry. So I didn't want people to see me,
Um,
or I just wanted to be a little bit dramatic. The sensitivity, I think, in my emotions still stayed with me because I am a very sensitive person. I know that in society it's kind of construed as a negative thing, but I've seen it more now as a strength and a superpower because I'm very attuned with my emotions and I feel them deeply. But then once I feel them fully, then okay, it's gone. Right? I don't, it doesn't linger, or sometimes it does, and then I need to revisit and understand why, or just sit with it, right? I was always sensitive as a child, and that stayed with me. I feel the energies of the room, feel the energies within myself, and feel the emotions, and it helps to experience the world.
that's lovely. That's good. That's good recognizing like your roots because that's how you stay grounded is not veering so far from like the interests and the likes that you had when you were a kid and how you responded because there's so many like deep rooted beliefs that we have that stem from that time that if you just revisit it and then just reinterpret it could make everything so much easier and more smooth and more fun. So
Yeah.
this was really good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aaron. Actually, I'll have one last question, just like a
Mhm.
little interesting one. So feel free if you feel comfortable answering, but when was the last time you cried and why?
We're talking like full blown crying. I shed
Could be.
tears here and there. I don't remember
Yeah.
all those.
Okay, let's
Um,
go with the full-blown crying, yeah.
um, let's think about this one for a second. I know I cried when I had a 25th birthday. It was happy tears. I'm 30 now, but
Oh my!
I know I cried after that. I
That
just
sounds
don't.
like it was a while ago.
Yeah, 5 years. I trying to think. I shed like a small tear watching the newest Avatar movie,
Okay.
but it was like it was a good emotional tear. But it wasn't like I wasn't crying, but it was like a tear.
Okay.
So I know it's not a great answer. I should think about that too.
Yeah, I like this question. I gets you to think like when was that last time?
Do you know when you cried last?
Yeah, mine was last week.
Nice.
So I was listening to a song, and it just reminded me of like my parents and like, their struggles as immigrants here, and yeah, that one made me cry.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, these are great questions that you're asking. I really appreciate you having me on. This is a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm always open if you'd like to do it again after a couple of guests you
Yes,
have.
yes.
I
Yeah,
can already
definitely.
see you're really good at this.
Oh, thank you, Erin. No, I loved having you on as well, and I definitely do want to bring guests on again. So,
Sweet.
yeah, definitely have you back on. But yeah, I appreciate all of your insights and just appreciate the person that you are. I appreciate you asking me questions as well. That was nice.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I don't want to talk about myself all day.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, for the audience, definitely check out Aaron's pages. I'm gonna put in the description. And yeah, check out his community, Always Attracting. I'm part of the community. It's an amazing community, amazing group of women. Aaron is amazing. He's a great leader and just very in his masculine. So he has so much insight.
She's trying
So
to make me
definitely
cry
check
right now,
him out.
guys. That's what she's trying to do. It's not working. Close, close. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to be here, and I'm excited to see this grow, really. So,
Thank you very much,
good
Aaron.
stuff.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. So yeah, see you guys next time.
Adios.
Adios.